This is Curious Minnesota, a Star Tribune project that sends staff from the state's largest newsroom hunting for the answers to great questions we receive from you. We're here to answer everything you want to know about the state's people, places, and culture. I'm your host, Erica Pearson. This episode of Curious Minnesota is sponsored by Primrose Schools. So today's episode comes from a listener named Brad who used to live in Minnesota, and he now lives in Maryland, but he still listens to the podcast. Hey, Brad. So Brad says when he was younger,
would have been probably 2013, 14, 15 maybe.
Every year around Halloween, thousands of people would dress up as zombies.
I had a butcher lab coat and it said morgue coroner on it, and I had taken it and kind of rolled it in the dirt so it was all dirty, like I had just come out of the ground.
And head to downtown Minneapolis.
I remember there being thousands of people dressed up like zombies. They had zombie piñatas. There was something about a Guinness World Record set for attendees or something. It was just madness, so it was a lot of fun.
Brad and this group of thousands would shuffle from bar to bar. It was called the Zombie Pub Crawl.
Then it just vanished and we never heard anything about it, and I was never able to find any information online about where it actually went.
And Brad has one simple question.
I guess the question is, what happened to the zombie crawl and why it just stopped so abruptly after being such a massive affair? I mean, it just abruptly seemed to vanish.
Thanks so much to Brad for this great question. You know, I was thinking about it, and it does really seem like back in the day, there were a lot of these kind of events where people would all get dressed up and just show up at the same place at the same time. And when I was working in New York one Saturday, I got the assignment of heading to Lower Manhattan to follow a group of drunk Santas around. I don't know if you remember SantaCon. And it actually was really a tough assignment because the organizers had told them, if anyone asks, you're just supposed to say your name is Santa. So I had trouble getting enough quotes from real people to write the article. But anyway, today we're going to track down the case of the missing zombie apocalypse. And the person who is on the job is our very own Laura Ewan. Thanks so much for joining us, Laura.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here, Erica.
So thank you for taking this question. Where did you start your search?
So I started my search by talking to one of there are four co-founders. They're all friends in their 20s when they started this back in 2005. And the main organizer that I spoke to was a guy named Chuck Terhark.
Okay. Do you have fond memories of getting it all started?
I think everybody who participated in the zombie crawl has lots of fond memories and kind of insane stories and memories from that time. It was just a wild time, and some of these organizers who talked to me, they said they don't think that this could ever even happen again today. I mean, it was just that wild and that much of a signature event.
Okay, so tell us the story of how it first got started.
Well, like I said, there are four co-founders back in 2005, and they had just watched the movie Shaun of the Dead. So they thought, wouldn't that be cool if we had a bunch of people that dressed up like zombies, and wouldn't it be cool if 50 people showed up? That would be amazing. So they one of the friends drew up a flyer, and they put it on the social media platform MySpace, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Like I said, they're hoping for a few dozen people, and 150 people showed up as zombies.
Wow. Why zombies? Why not something else spooky?
Well, zombies were having a moment in this era. So, like I said, Shaun of the Dead had just come out. There was another zombie flick called 28 Days Later. There was a remake of the old classic Dawn of the Dead. There was Zombieland, and of course the AMC series The Walking Dead. So all of those films and series, they sort of sparked the zeitgeist and just fueled our cultural obsession with zombies. And so the timing was perfect.
I do remember that. It was like one zombie movie after another,
Right.
It seemed like. So did it take off really fast after that first year?
Yeah, after that first year, there was sort of this explosion. I mean, the way he explained it to me is everybody kind of told three friends, and so then it grew and grew and grew, and it just continued to grow. And I mean, that slogan in Austin, Texas, keep Austin weird. Minneapolis is the same kind of city. There's so many weird and wonderful creative people, and the amount of time that they spent on their costumes and makeup, they just flooded the streets, and it was such this display of fun and creativity and hard drinking. exciting.
Yeah, yeah. Did you get a feel for what it would have felt like to be a zombie in the crowd when you were talking with them?
Oh, yeah. And I remember actually covering it as a young reporter myself, 20 years ago. It was just like the wildest thing. I remember the costumes were just so elaborate and people were having so much fun. I, like you, at the SantaCon was trying to interview these people and I was trying to ask them serious questions, what their name was, and all I would hear was brains. That's all they said. So it was challenging to do an interview. But you could tell, if you were in your 20s during this time period, this was the place to be, just going from bar to bar.
So I want to hear some of those wild stories. What were some of the best ones that you gathered working on this?
Oh my gosh! So one of the stories, it seems like it was. I think the organizers almost died of a heart attack, but it was one of the years when the zombie pub crawl was held at Midway Stadium, and the late rapper now DMX was supposed to perform, and it was 3 hours after showtime, and he still hadn't showed up.
Oh, no. And there's zombies in the stadium.
Yeah. And so the organizers were they were just worried that he wasn't going to show up and that there was going to be basically a zombie uprising.
Yeah.
Here's what Chuck told me.
Oh, man. We weren't even sure that he got on his plane. And people were going to riot at Midway Stadium. I saw zombies climbing on top of buses, trying to tip over a bus at one time. That's the most stressful night of my life. My friend, I saw him vomiting into a garbage can at one point of the night because we were so just like, what is going on? And we were convinced that DMX wasn't even coming. We had already paid him because he demanded to be paid up front, and he eventually showed up. He was wearing one shoe, and he fell out of a SUV as it careened up the outfield of Midway Stadium. And then he got on stage, and he was great. And then the crowd was super hyped about it. We had a very expensive wireless microphone that he demanded, and at the end of the set, he just threw it into the crowd, and we never saw that again. It was like a $1,500 microphone.
Oh my God!
And I
oh,
was so mad at DMX about that.
Yeah, so it was just totally crazy, and you could see how this event was super stressful for the organizers.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor Carrick, one of the organizers, was telling me this hilarious story about one of his favorite memories pertaining to the zombie pub crawl, and it was at the Otter Bar in Northeast Minneapolis. It was the first or second year. And he and his good friend were inside the Otter, and they're singing karaoke, as one does at the Otter. And there was a guy there who was singing, and he was singing Rebel Yell by Billy Idol.
Mm-hmm.
But he had changed the lyrics from more, more, more to brains, brains, brains. And so everybody in the bar was cheering for him, and it was wild and fun. They're all having a good time. And people at this time were already standing on top of the tables and chairs because it was so full. And after everyone started cheering, one of the guys in the crowd took out a quart of fake blood and just started whipping it like a sprinkler across around the room. And everyone started yelling again, "Next bar!" And Taylor said, I looked at my buddy and said, "Can you believe this?" And he goes, "Yeah, this is the most fun I've ever had."
So I do need to find out how this crazy event ended up fading away. So let's get into that after the break.
At Primrose, our balanced learning approach means exploring academic skills and life skills, combining purposeful play with nurturing guidance from teachers, and setting children up for success in future classrooms. Learn more at primroseschools.com/Twin Cities.
So how did this zombie pub crawl vanish? I know Brad said it seemed like it just disappeared into thin air.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a social change where people are less willing to take risks on these mass events where they don't really know what's going to happen. But also, zombies have faded away for the most part from pop culture. At least they're not as omnipresent as they once were. There's also been a shift from hard drinking to healthier living, which does not really jibe with the ethos of the zombie pub crawl.
Yeah.
The venues that used to be there, we're talking about places like the Nomad Pub, Palmer's Bar, the Triple Rock. I mean, those venues aren't there anymore today. And a lot of those businesses, they love the business, of course, but they also are very willing to put up with a lot of shenanigans and fake blood everywhere. Some of the bars actually had to close the next day to clean up the mess.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But the last reason, I think, is that simply age. The organizers got old. They're in their mid-40s now. And so the prospect of them putting on a huge, stressful event like this, just they can't reconcile that with, dad life. So for all those reasons, you're less likely to see a mass event like that today.
I'm also curious, what year was the last year?
The last year was 2019, and by that time, interest in zombies and pop culture was kind of fading already, so ticket sales started to slow down. So once COVID happened in 2020, the organizers decided now is a good time as any to just, put an end to the zombie pub crawl.
Oh, yeah, I do feel like that happened with a lot of things with COVID. It's like, okay, we were already thinking about this. And then once it doesn't happen one year, it's like too much to revive it.
Right. And I think the organizers were at peace with that by the time, 2020 came around.
Yeah.
They're ready to be done.
Was it a business for them or was it just?
Well, to get in, you had to buy a wristband. And that would give you entry into the festival. They said they made a little bit of money, but the money that they'd get from these entry fees were used to cover these expenses as the festival grew, things for like an entertainment budget for the live music or for, a nationally known DJ, for 150 off-duty cops, for a $5 million insurance policy, for hundreds of porta potties.
Wow. Okay. So have there been any copycat or replacement events, anybody trying to sort of keep zombies alive?
Yeah, there sure are. Back in the day, they actually had a trademark on the name Zombie Pub Crawl.
Oh, wow.
They think that they were the first in the country. And for a while, every major city in the U.S. had its own version of the Zombie Pub Crawl. And when, another city started to host their own, they would get a cease and desist letter from the organizers of the original Zombie Pub Crawl here in Minneapolis. But, of course, as they phased out of this, they stopped doing the zombie pub crawl. They let the trademark lapse. And so you have seen a number of smaller cities. I even saw one, I think, in Virginia, Minnesota, small towns that are doing their own version of the zombie pub crawl. And even here in Minneapolis, there was a private events firm that put on its version of the zombie pub crawl. They tend to be a little bit more polished and produced and coordinated. It'd be probably hard to manufacture that level of spontaneity, with another event.
Yeah. Oh, that makes me feel nostalgic. I feel like don't you think it could maybe come back someday?
Yeah. I think like you and I, Eric, are the same age. So for like elder millennials and young Gen Xers, like we think it can never be the same. But maybe we just need to pass the torch to the next generation so they could do something wild and crazy and have stories for their grandkids.
Oh, I love it. Brad remembers that there were tons of people.
Yeah, there was a world record set in 2014, and it was the largest gathering of zombies. It was numbered at 15,458 people. But if you look at the news clips from the time, the police were putting the figure closer to 35,000.
Oh, wow.
The record still holds today. I think Minneapolis had lost the record over the years. I think someplace in New Jersey had taken it. But yeah, that record from 2014 in Minneapolis currently stands. And Chuck Terhark, the organizer, he said, if they ever happen to lose that distinction, lose that world record, he said that might bring him out of retirement. He'd have to put on another zombie pub crawl.
Oh, I hope some city out there listening hears the call.
Here's the challenge, right?
Yes, takes it up. That would be a cool outcome. Oh, well, thank you so much, Laura. This is so interesting.
You're welcome.
I feel like it's so fun to talk about Halloween traditions, and I really like the bare bones Halloween puppet extravaganza. I don't know if you've ever been to that, where they have giant puppets and like fire performers. And
is it these the same people who put on May Day?
It's not the same,
okay.
but there's like a very similar vibe,
Yeah.
but Halloweeny, not springtime. And that is still happening. It's going to be in Powderhorn Park in Minneapolis this year for 4 nights from October 30th to November 2nd. And, of course, I always love reminiscing about the Halloween blizzard.
Yes. Yeah, you're not a true Minnesotan unless you have a story from the Halloween blizzard of 1991.
Yeah, but I'm curious, what do you think about when Halloween comes around every year?
Well, I'm a bit conflicted because it's my husband's birthday,
Oh,
and so
wow.
there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
But we have, I would say, for the past 5 years or so, we've definitely gone all out and done the costumes. And it's funny because like my dad called me. He's like, are you getting ready for Halloween? And all I can think about is my own costumes.
Yeah.
But he was actually asking about our kids. Like, oh yeah, the kids. But yeah, we're gonna do that. I'm gonna dress up as Wednesday Addams.
Love it.
The second season is out now, so we've been watching that as a family.
Oh, I love it. That's a great one. I was thinking, I have all these memories. My dad was an art teacher, so he would help us like craft these costumes.
Oh, I bet you had the best costumes.
They were fun. They were fun. And especially like paper mache. When we
Yes.
get all into it. But I am thinking of trying to be a Labubu this year with because I just need some rabbit ears and like a little mask. Thing. So we'll see.
That'll
But
be
if,
very on trend.
if my kids aren't too embarrassed of me, I don't know,
No,
we'll
you'll be
see.
the cool mom for sure.
Well, anyway, thank you so much, Laura. This was great.
It was a blast.
And thank you to Brad, who was curious about the zombie pub crawl. You can read all of our curious stories online at startribune.com. If you have feedback for us or a question that you'd like us to answer, send a note. We're at curious@startribune.com. Thanks for listening to Curious Minnesota. Our show is recorded at the Minnesota Star Tribune studio in beautiful downtown Minneapolis. Melissa Townsend produced this show, and the music is by Matt Gilmer. Until next time, stay curious!